Welcome to the Working Audio Tools podcast, the home of all things mixing here on YouTube and all of your streaming platforms. This week, we would like your input. We would like your help and suggestions. Many of you have been watching the podcast from the early days. You've heard about our journey to becoming full-time mix engineers, documenting the process, mix comparisons along the way. There are playlists for all this below in the description as well. But we would like your opinions on what you guys think we should do to further our careers and pursue this idea of becoming a full-time mix engineer. But also let us know what you're doing to develop your careers. What are you thinking about? What's a concern for you? Where are you focusing your energy? What strategies are you applying to your careers? Or if you're just a hobbyist as well, and if you have thoughts and opinions, let us know in the comments below. We would love to hear from you. In the meantime, Paul and I have a couple of ideas for ourselves and for each other. Take it away, Mr. Third.
Right, so I've been thinking quite a lot about marketing myself because one thing I've noticed that Ed's been doing quite well recently has been, I've noticed Ed popping up a lot more on Instagram, and I'm noticing a lot of posts, I'm noticing a lot of reels and stuff like that, and yeah, it's been that kind of, not that I need to remind myself that Ed still exists.
We message every day.
Yeah.
Except when you're on holiday.
But for other people, I think it's like, it's not even spammy. It's just like these reminders that you're there. And it's like, I've quite liked it. So I was thinking, right, okay, obviously Ed's in London and stuff, you know, a bit more of a hotspot. But I mean, I got a session on Saturday, and when I asked them how I got it, they said, yeah, it was just Google. We just typed in, you know, like recording studio Scotland, and you came up in the area. So I'm thinking if I should invest in a marketing campaign, make certain posts up, maybe like short videos, like reels, and do a very targeted campaign just in Scotland, scrap England, for the meantime, and just think I was thinking to do the whole Scotland, probably not wise. If I just think about, you know, my area, so it'd be like Dundee, Perth, Glasgow, Edinburgh, maybe even stretch to Aberdeen, because the clients travelled quite a far way. Like, I mean, they were not that far from Glasgow, but they didn't like the hustle and bustle. They liked the whole locale of the studio. They liked the vibe of it and stuff. And again, they liked me, which was a great thing. I made them feel very comfortable. So I'm thinking that, you know, for me to take it more seriously, like what we were talking about, you know, last week, do you really take your career seriously? I need to start investing less in cables and like and other things that distract me, and more into getting people to know that this studio does exist, and just giving yourself the chance of the 1-2%. Because I was even thinking SEO, Ed. I mean, is SEO something that you do?
Today I've had, I think, one client Google me and find me organically through search. What I think is beneficial, but takes a bit of time and depends on your web browser provider, or website provider, is how functional their SEO optimization is. Now, I'm on Squarespace, and it seems a little bit limited.
I'm the same. I'm Squarespace as well, yeah.
Right, okay. But you can SEO tag every single photo with keywords, every web page, and all that stuff, I think, does help if you put in combinations of specific words. So for what you've suggested you do in Scotland, recording studios in Scotland, there's not going to be tons of traffic for that compared to recording studio in London. You can tie that in with the word affordable, the word analogue, mixing and mastering. You know, there's unlimited combinations of words, and there are ways you can find which terms work better than others. It's worth doing. I would say it's an arrow to your bow.
Mm-hmm. But then I think that really my kind of thinking is, right, that's one avenue, but then how do I expand that? So again, we have talked a lot about, again, this is an accountability episode for me and Ed, you know, I did say I need to go out and get the gigs. I've not been to one gig since we said that, like, I don't know, maybe like 2 months ago. So I do need to work at that. I'm busy, and weekends are spent, you know, with my wife and the kids and stuff. But yeah, I've not been doing a good enough job, Ed, at trying to go out there physically. And, you know, I've got all these business cards, and I think I've handed out like 2. That's like, what's the point in, like, you know, getting all these business cards out? Again, I put them in the local shop and stuff. But, you know, whether anybody's going to pick them up. I need to be, I need to be getting myself out there. You know what I mean? And I'm just, I'm saying a lot of
loads of cigarette butts around where you live, just like little rolled bits of card.
I know.
They've been useful to someone. Someone's inhaled a load of ink. I mean, for me, going to gigs hasn't been effective.
Okay,
I have met quite a few people at gigs, and people have their own teams. You're meeting a randomer in a pub. Even if you get in contact, email or Instagram, chase people up the following day, no one checks out your stuff unless you've timed it perfectly.
Yeah.
And this is the thing with cold marketing as well, which I've tried. That was a big fail. Unless you're timing it perfectly, that day they happen to be looking for a mix engineer or a mastering engineer and they don't have their own person. Or if they're interested in weighing up a few different options and you happen to be better than their guy or cheaper than their guy or both, then I think you could find luck. But they're not necessarily the clients I want to be going for.
No, okay, so that's one thing, right? So I'm thinking about that, and again, I'm going to still go to the odd gig, and I'm still going to try and put myself out there, because I still think word of mouth is still good. Even if they've got their own team, people knowing that you're out there and exist still is good. Another thing that I was thinking about was trying to get myself into film and TV, because I've got the Atmos room. I think that I'm not utilising the Atmos room, and it's like I've built it, and it's almost like I look at it and go, you sound great, but I don't know what to do with you. It's like I've got all this hard work, and it's like, okay, how do I get work out of you now? So again, obviously when we spoke to Paul Ashmore at Audio Animals, obviously he was talking about the amount of film and TV work that's out there. Like we think about, fucking hell, Netflix and stuff. It's fucking gigantic. Prime. You've now got Paramount, you've got fucking Hulu, you've got all these different...
And they charge good money for that work.
They do. And so I'm thinking, right, I've got this Atmos room, I need to then really think about how do I get work, and what... Again, I think many people have this thing where they think, it's got to be music. Music is going to be hard to get Atmos mixes on. But, I am going to do an Atmos mix of the session that I had on Saturday. Went really well, and I'm going to do the mix for it, and I'll do the Atmos mix just to see what the client thinks.
Can I jump in with an idea while I remember?
Right, yeah, okay, jump in.
Quit your day job.
Fuck, here he goes.
And get a job at broadcasting somewhere. Like BBC Scotland.
Yeah.
Meet all the TV and film guys.
That's true, because what I have been thinking about, right, I've got this big network of people, but surely there's going to be somebody, and again, because I do know my stuff, like I'm very technical and I do know a lot of stuff, so it would be quite good for... again, if you were to stick me in the right place, I could learn. I'm like a sponge and I'll take everything in. But I'm like, surely there'd be people out there that might be able to, put me in with somebody in radio, and again, maybe radio could lead to film and TV. I think I've been so focused on music that it's because it's what I want to do. But I'm like, if I want to take this seriously and be an audio engineer, widespread, then again, it's like there's more than music and audio. There's dialogue. I said to Ed, I won't say who, but I was quite a big publishing firm, do audiobooks, got in touch with me, and I gave them a price, and I said, yeah, I could make these 3 sessions and stuff, and they didn't get back to me. I'm going to email them again this week just to see, because the sessions weren't until August, maybe to see if there's maybe still a squeak that I've got in there. So again, I was thinking about that conversation, and right, okay, so audiobooks. If they're getting in touch with me, there's obviously lots of clients that, are maybe in Scotland that are, so I'm like, if that doesn't work with this publishing company, then I said to my wife, I was like, I should then look at how many publishing companies there are in Scotland doing audiobooks. Very similar to what Leo Sargon was talking about, where he was like, I would just go to LinkedIn and I would just go, right, bang, and send the message. I'm actually thinking about doing the LinkedIn thing as well, Ed, and, trying to give that a go. And as you said, I didn't even think about radio. I think it's because I had a bad experience with somebody that worked in radio when there was a TV show when I was in college, and I had a few days experience at it, and I don't know, I didn't like the vibe of it. But again, you've made a good point. I couldn't even tell you, Ed, of could the studio be helpful to somebody that's in radio? But again, is it even a thing where I'm maybe thinking it's got to be the studio? At the end of the day, if it's an audio, it's an audio. I could still work in the studio and have a full-time job working in radio with all the knowledge that I've had. Yeah, I think what I've been thinking a lot about recently, Ed, is like how far can I spread all of this? You know what I mean? It's like, again, Paul Ashmore's doing film, TV work and trailers. They're also doing music. Again, there's people doing audio books. There's people doing blah-de-blah. There's people doing sound design for games and stuff like that. There's people doing recording, mixing, mastering, producing. I'm like, how far could I spread all this? And some people say, no, just stick at one thing, like what you've talked about before. Again, try and prioritise the one thing. Where, again, we spoke about the one thing and about how really having your finger in lots of different pies and could open way more doors for you, because you could focus on one thing, it never materialised, when you're like, I could have put a bit of time into that, and that maybe could have materialised. But yeah, this is, for anybody who doesn't know, this is the way my brain can work. I could be very focused, and then all of a sudden my brain goes, what else could Paul Thorne be doing right now? And then I just go and like, oh, I could do that.
Scattergun. Let's do everything.
Scattergun, man. I'm just scattergunning. But at the end of the day, I've always said I've got belief in myself that I could, I could fucking get a job in audio anywhere, in my opinion, because I'm a hard worker. Again, I know a lot about audio. Again, I've been in sales of blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah. But yeah, it's difficult, Ed, isn't it? It's difficult when you've got all this knowledge and skill, and you've got all this investment in your studio, and you're ready to go. Like, we're fortunate where we're like itching. We're like, come on, fuck. When years ago we were like, again, especially if me and you were mixing and mastering, it was like trepidation. You know what I mean? You'd be like, am I good enough? All this fucking seeded out, especially with you. Where now we're like, fucking come on, fucking chat my door. I'll do it now. I'll do a mix for you right now. Come on, I'll do a vocal recording. I'll do this. I'll do that. Which is a great position to be in, but it's how do you get yourself in that position? We can talk a good game on this podcast, Ed, but it means nothing unless we could physically get people in the door and be like, yeah, fucking hell, I'm so busy. Like, Jesus Christ, like I've had 3-4 sessions this week and I'm fucking up to, like what Emra, for example, like Emra, where we did an episode of Mix Phones, and it was the Hyphen tier one, and he messaged me and said, bro, I'm so tired. My energy is so low. I was like, what was it? He was like, fuck, I had an album. I was like, I mixed an entire album before. I was like, you mixed an entire album? He was like, yeah, mixed an entire album. I was quite tired. And then obviously we did 2 episodes of Mix Phones from like 10 to 12. That's
what, an entire album that day?
Yeah, that day, yeah. I know. I know. Man can mix fucking quick. But again, you don't do that in certain projects. But yeah, it's a thing where I'm thinking, the possibilities for me, as we spoke about last week, I've always got a lot of self-belief. Possibilities are endless for me. It's how do I get to these opportunities? I'm talking a very good game. I know what I want, but I'm feeling myself like I'm not doing enough. I am not doing enough. Do you feel like you're doing enough right now? Let's take it away from me, Ed, and let's kind of go to you for a little bit. Do you feel like you're doing enough just now to get to where?
I have a very leisurely life at the moment. And it's great. I have definitely worked harder in the past. I'm fortunate, as I said last week, in that I have variety that I enjoy and money keeps coming in and everything's fine. It's a very nice position to be in. But I could be hungrier. But I, over the time, have tried lots of different things. I've SEO'd my website as much as I can. I think there's probably more I could do if I really dive into it. I have tried cold calling campaigns. I've tried going to gigs. Admittedly, I could have pushed these areas more, but I've sort of very little return on either. And I will always go to gigs. I enjoy it. It's fun, and London's an amazing place for this. My next thing is the last thing that I've never tried, which is a proper social media campaign, akin to the likes that Audio Animals do, because Paul has presented me with some very impressive numbers that they generate doing that for their studio. So, flattery where it's due. I am embarking on a very similar campaign. I've got a guy on board doing that who's an expert in social media. He's going to drive that. We're just warming that campaign up. So there's certain things to get in place, which I could learn and get my head around, but I can't be bothered. So I'm just paying him to do it. And if that goes well, I will recommend him to you, because what I think you should do, Paul, is exactly what you said at the start. Focus on Scotland, get people into your studio to record, and then you'll get the mixing work by default, and go around all the studios, radio stations, universities, colleges, and advertise your Atmos room and try and get into broadcasting and Atmos mixing. I think anything else is just a dilution of your time.
True. Yeah.
I think you should pick 2 avenues to push.
Okay.
I think you should advertise on social media. You can do it yourself, but it's it's doing it yourself or paying money. That's the dilemma. I can't be bothered doing it myself. I know I could learn and get my head around it. I just can't be bothered.
But it's time.
It's time, or paying someone to do it, which I can just about afford to do. So hopefully, I've got an idea in mind of what I'll spend, and if then things aren't coming in, then it's reassessed. And at that point, then we're deciding, right, are people clicking on things and they think it's too expensive? Or is the packaging not right? Or is it that my mixing isn't good enough still yet? I don't think that's the case, given the last few things I've done. But that might be the general perception. Who knows? There's so many things you could attribute a lack of success to, but I think consistency is a big one. I see on Audio Animals videos a lot of comments. Oh yeah, I've been watching you from afar for ages. I want to try one of my mixers through your analog gear, and love your reviews. And there's a lot of comments regarding how present they are. So maybe that's working for them, but as we've discussed, being that present is so time consuming.
Oh, 100%. And I think that, that's another thing I've been thinking about is how I can utilize my main channel. Again, it's like 26,000 subscribers. There is an audience there. It's just that, as I spoke about, past couple of weeks, I'm kind of a little bit done with my YouTube channel. But my wife's always saying to me, it's exposure, Paul. And, if you can think of the right content to do that involves keeping you motivated, but driving everything back to the business of you being seen as an audio engineer and less of a YouTuber. And so, I'm even at the point where I've been in talks for ages, but again, it's me not following through. It's a pain in the arse. Going back to you, I was thinking kind of when we speak a lot about your live sound stuff, where are the opportunities? In my head, there surely is opportunities for you in mixing and mastering. There must be, because you work with so many artists. It baffles me how you could work with so many people. I know they're live sound, and again, they're not really looking for recordings a lot, but surely there could be doors opening in the live scene for you, surely.
So there could be, if I was prepared to do your local dog and duck band night on a Wednesday night, but those places pay so bad I'm not even going to consider leaving the house for the kind of money they're going to pay. That is possibly a card I'm leaving on the table, even if was it Leo who said it? He does 1 day a week at a live sound venue?
Yes, he did.
So maybe it's working for him, but then also in my, what is vast experience of doing those gigs in London is the general standard isn't good, and there's absolutely fuck all money on the circuit. Mm-hmm. So you're pitching to clients who are going to struggle to pay £100 a mix. I'm also not prepared to work for that. So it's a bit of a balance. Yeah, I've considered it. And on the other side of it, the great musicians who do the covers thing are just, they're covers musicians. A lot of them don't do their own stuff.
Yeah.
And if they do, they all mix and master it themselves. There's not many who kind of see the value in getting someone else to do stuff. They're like me. I started being a musician and producing my own music and thought, well, I can do that.
So what about A&Rs, right? Because we know that if you want to get into the industry, everybody says to us, you need to get with producers and A&Rs.
That's definitely where we could both push.
Yeah.
Further.
So in terms of I'm just thinking live sound, because I'm thinking the only way to get A&Rs is by getting artists because of, that. And I think I was just sitting there thinking today, I was like, if Ed's in the live scene and he goes and he's at certain gigs or again looking at certain people that may be a talent, because you are in the hot spot, my question to you would be, do you do enough to look for vessels? Do you invest any time into looking for vessels that may have potential, considering you're in the hot spot? And if you were to get a certain artist, and again, even if maybe you had to do it a little bit cheaper, but you believed in them, and then they were to get signed, and then that then leads you into an A&R, do you think you do enough work into getting a vessel, as Jason Joshua talks about.
No, and the reason for that is it's just your 1,000,000 to 1 shot finding someone in London. I mean, London is a strange place because that you have you have absolute shit on one hand. And I went to a mic night the other night at a pub. I won't say which one, but the standard was utterly abysmal. And it was actually quite stressful. It really aggravated.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Loads of levels of my OCD. The sound was bad. The songs were bad. The performances were bad. But then it was actually very humbling because it made me realise just how fortunate I've been to work with the standard of people that I've worked with, doing sound, people who work in the West End, people who are singers on Strictly Come Dancing, people who are backing singers for, Dua Lipa and Florence and the Machine. And again, none of them are doing originals though. So it's, I just see the whole filtering through, a needle in a haystack in London is just not going to be beneficial to my time. I'm pretty confident more work has come through this podcast already than it would for me doing that.
However, though, you've raised a very interesting thing that I didn't know until right now, is that these people who have access. Now, I know, again, Ed's very, very good in terms of, there's a relationship brain. I'm not. I'm very task-related. And I'm like, so if I had a contact that, again, was like a backing singer for Dua Lipa, I would be like, right, okay, I wonder if you know such and such that could maybe get me to such and such. Do you think you utilise...
The problem is it's all so heavily gate-kept.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. Okay.
Like, I know Jack Savaretti's bass player, and I said to him once, and he was one of 3 people. I know Sandy Beals, who used to be in One Direction, and has worked with Wheatus, and I've approached them and said, look, I've got this song, I'd love to get it to so-and-so, do you know them? And they're like, yeah, look, I know him personally, or I know the manager, or I know this, and they're all like, I can't pass anything on. I can't even get them one of my songs. I can't even ask them to mix because it is an abusive position and people just don't tolerate it. And people are so fearful of losing that job that they are not prepared to rock the boat for even their own careers, let alone some guy that they've had on live sound, a bunch of times.
That's important to know though, because again, I didn't know that until now. Like me, I would have went up and just been like, oh, do you know such and such? Oh, maybe you can kind of... But again, you telling me that makes absolute sense because at the end of the day, if you're an A&R and you work with somebody big, you're going to probably have loads of people. Even when we talk about MSM all the time, you check M's phone when you're with them. Ping, 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 ping. And he'll show you his DMs and it's just like, bro, would you listen to my song? Would you do this? Blah, blah, blah.
I mean, that's the way I think about it. That is based on the ground experience, having worked extensively with people like this. So, but maybe I'm being pessimistic. Maybe I'm, a victim of my own limiting beliefs. Knowing you, your kind of bumbling naivety, you'd be like, "Oh right, yeah, I mix for them," and they were like, "Oh, little bird, broken wings, let's help him out." And fucking, there's Dua Lipa, by the way. Yeah, just.
How did you get Lewis Capaldi, Paul? How did you get fucking Lewis Capaldi? How did you manage that? But know what's funny? I'll tell you one thing right now, right? I'll admit it now, right? For whatever reason, now, if this does happen, I said this, right, on this podcast. For whatever reason, I've always had this thing that, like, Lewis Capaldi is in my reach. And I don't know why. I think it's because we're both Scottish, and I know we'd got on really well. Like, I just know we'd fucking hit it off. And again, with my studio being really kind of in a great hot spot, and it's like a really good place where it's away from other people, you wouldn't have people at you all the time. It's really, really relaxed. Because when I watched this documentary, I could tell he was getting stressed. Imagine having to fly all the way to LA to then, like, just be like, right, we need to write another hit song. And that pressure that you feel, and you're in another country, and I was just like, get him down here. Okay, let's have a crack. Let's come down for 3 weeks and we'll fucking see what we'll come up with. But, I think that's one thing I've realised about myself is that I always have these, like, overarching things where I just got this belief in myself, but I know that you've got to start here to get up to here. And so then I was thinking, right, okay, so if, for example, I'm not like actually like looking to like that's my main goal to get Lewis Capaldi, but I was in my head thinking, well, if I did, what would I have to do? And like, it would be little cases of going, right, who's he toured with, right? Who's he played with? And then again, is the bass player doing maybe the bass player's in a band. Okay, maybe they're starting out. Maybe if I was to get the bass player's band in, Then all of a sudden you've got them and they tell Lewis and blah, blah, blah. And those are the wee things that I'm thinking, right, all of this in terms of us trying to get clients, it's all of these little connections, isn't it? It's all of these, it's almost like it's almost like a web, isn't it? And it's like everything just leads. And it's very slow and very arduous.
The Working Audio Tools podcast is brought to you in association with our friends at DistroKid for all of your musical distribution needs. Don't forget, you can't just upload your songs to Amazon, Spotify, iTunes, or Tidal. You have to go through a music distribution service. There are many out there, but DistroKid is the one that Paul and myself use. They don't take any of your royalties. You keep 100% of the streaming revenue that you earn. For just $1.92 a month, or $22.99 a year, you can upload unlimited songs. Your lyrics can be found in Google and other places. You get the blue Spotify verified checkmark, and you can create royalty splits between yourselves and fellow contributors. You also get access to the new DistroKid iPhone app for editing and uploading songs and accessing your statistics on the move. There are plenty of other tools available on DistroKid. We'll go through those in another section.
I don't think that me and you personally do enough work marketing ourselves. We're not American enough. Like, I think I've said it many times, if me and you had that American attitude of being like, I'm going to put myself, and this is another thing I'm planning on doing, and I keep on saying I'm going to do it, and I don't, but I need to, is I need to go and visit other studios. I need to get in my car, go to Glasgow, take a day off, because people have said to me, come down to my studio, Paul, hey, you're welcome. And actually go to these studios just to sit. And
if you're getting invited and not following through...
I know, I'm an idiot, I know.
What are you doing?
I think it's because it's like, I need to take a day off, and I need to take a day's holiday, and I need to drive to Glasgow, and I hate driving to Glasgow, and blah, blah, blah. But what I'm in a position, Ed, is I'm in a position where I'm doing what's easiest. I'm doing what I want to do. And I'm like, because
I think that's where I am as well, because I've got a comfortable amount of variety.
Yeah.
I don't need this to succeed, to survive. That's a big one.
But as we said last week, if you take yourself serious, you do have to put the work in. And it's like...
I did. I tried that and I failed miserably, as we talked about last week.
But again, like as I've said to you before, like my attitude is you just fucking get up, and honestly, you just need to just scrape the dust off. That's all you need to do and get off. I have full belief that with the network and the contacts that we've built over the years, and the more that we build it, with this podcast and YouTube, there's nothing stopping us from just that one person leading to something and us having to take that opportunity with both hands. But I think, like, for me, because I'm not in the hotspot and I am in a place that's quite starved of people wanting to pick up guitars and stuff like that, I really do need to work harder to get myself in front of the people that are looking. Because on one hand, I don't have much competition at all. I've got a niche. I've got, people want to pay me for my time. I get mentoring clients. I've got a mentoring client tomorrow after work. And again, my Discord is now like over 100 members, 100 paid members now.
It's great going.
People are wanting my time. So I'm like, right, if I was to then take that and put that into locally, then that's where I could become full-time. And I'm like, it's so frustrating when I sit there and go, it's quite difficult to get people from across the world, to get so many people wanting to pay, even though it's like maybe on like £3, £4, £5 a month or whatever, to pay monthly just to be in a community that you've built, just to have your time. And I'm like, if people across the world can do that, I can get fucking somebody up the road to do it. But I'm not putting myself out there. I'm not making people aware that I'm an option. I'm not taking my time serious enough. And I think it's because it's a lot of thought, Ed, isn't it? Like, see, even like when you think about the amount of work you're having to put into the market and stuff, because we are such creative people and we get, out of doing our art, it's all of these things where you're just sitting there thinking, I'm not mixing. This isn't really doing it for me. But these are the things. If we take Nicholas De Lorenzo as a good example, again, I've mentioned this example before, but, when he went to NAMM, what did he do? He went to tons and tons and tons of studios. And we think about people like Andrew Masters, right, during COVID. Very clever what he did. He took that period to go, right, I'm going to do loads of studio tours. And you think about the amount of networking that he built up in that time. And I should be, and again, you could be doing it and you should be doing it. And to be fair, you have done a lot more stuff than me, Ed. I think that's one thing that I never forget, Ed, is that you've been in so many. I mean, is there any studio in London you haven't been in? I think I asked you this before, but there isn't many studios you haven't been in.
Oh, there's loads in London.
Really? Okay.
Someone mentioned Studio 13 the other day, which is Damon Albarn's studio. That's not even far away, but there's no address listed online, so you've got to know who to get in, or you've got to pay to get in.
But then I think, that's what I think. You're in a very interesting. If I was not in the position I'm in and I was younger and in my 20s, I would 100% be in London. I would have moved to London because
if I was in my 20s doing this, I would be doing everything I could to get an internship somewhere.
Yeah, totally.
And I would be working from the ground up, but a little bit different when you have a mortgage.
I know it is, but I think what the reason I wanted to make this video was to remind me and you and everybody else that's watching is that there are opportunities around you. It's just that I don't think we take enough time to actually think, right, one, I'm not doing enough to make these opportunities happen, and two, you're not really identifying them. I mean, even still, Ed, I think if we were honestly, this is how autistic I am. And I just thought about it there, and you're going to laugh, but I know I would do this. If I was in my 20s, I would probably write a list of every single studio in London, and I would Google it, and it would probably take me all night, and I would find every studio, and then I would look for every opportunity, and I would add every single engineer, the assistant engineers. I would add everybody on Instagram, and I would just do whatever I could to be like, hey, yo, man, could I visit your studio? Again, the difficulty is, for many, and I get it, many studio owners are like, well, you'll pay. And I think that's fair enough. It's like, if you want 2 hours in the studio, you'll pay for 2 hours, studio time. And if you want to, be a fly on the wall, then you'll pay for that. But I feel like it's in front of us, Ed, but I just don't feel like, I feel like we're missing something. I feel like it's there, but there's a disconnect with me and you right now where I'm not doing it in my local area, and I think you're in the hub, and I could see it with the YouTube and the people that you know and the jobs that you've done. I'm like, I feel like it's there for you. It's just, I genuinely do feel, and I say it now, I do believe something really good's going to happen for Ed, and there's going to be an opportunity that comes up. I just don't know where it's going to come from. I can see it happening for you, but I'm like, it's going to happen because you're in the hot spot. What did again, Manny Marikin's assistant, Anthony Vilches, he talked about it, he said about 3 times, you got to be in Music City. Ed, you're in that place. And do you feel it? I mean, I don't know, maybe it's because it's my belief. I just have this belief in things. In my autistic brain, it's logical that it's going to happen for you. I don't know why. There's a connection, and I just see it's going to happen for you. It's just that you've not found the right avenue yet. Or it's just you've not gotten with the right contact yet. How do you feel with me saying that? That for me, it's almost like an inevitability. That, again, this is my positive belief thing. If I were you, I would feel like it was inevitable. Something's going to happen. I'm going to land on somebody's doorstep. I'm going to speak to somebody, and it's going to just...
I do feel something's going to move.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be a sign to that this year. But I don't know in what direction. Well, I wouldn't know which direction it might be, but I'm not going to verbalise that for various reasons. But I can't see the steps between here and then.
That's how I feel a little bit.
And that's fine. But I agree we could be more actively looking for them. And what I have been speaking to a few people about is using ChatGPT. And I've used ChatGPT. I've gone on and I've said, how can I improve my business? How can I get more work to my website? And it's came up with some stuff. SEO, we've talked about, cold calling, reaching out on Instagram. It came up with all the topics we've talked about and had guests talk about. And the social media marketing campaign, which should be going live soon. You may have seen some videos because we've been warming up the account, but there's a whole actual campaign for sales funneling going live soon. And that's something I've never tried, but I feel like something will come. Yeah, there's something bubbling. It's just I'm starting to get things in. People, I've had people say, "Oh, yeah, I've got like a couple of songs or 3 songs. I'll send you them." And we had that conversation 6 months ago. They might now be coming in next week.
Yeah.
There's a few things like that are happening, but that's all word of mouth. That's not advertising on social media. I mean, some things have come through social media. Again, it's focusing on the one thing. I feel. I think. Like I'm sure I could get loads of work if I tried on Fivrr, on Air Gigs, all these other places.
Was it better?
SoundBetter,
SoundBetter,
EngineEars, all that stuff for like editing podcasts, because there's loads of that around, and I'm like, well, flipping heck, it's boring enough editing this podcast. And I get paid for that. I don't want to do, and that's an investment in me. I don't want to do someone else's podcast, because then it's a balance of money versus return, because I would find that very boring. I do this because it's an investment in us. Doing it for someone else, I'd find impossibly dull. Don't really want to do it. So, but maybe I'm using that as an excuse to be lazy.
Yeah, because I think the question is, right, and I'll pose it to you right now. What is it that you're not doing to get in amongst the right people? What are you not doing? If you were to look at yourself in the mirror, what are you not doing right now?
Traditionally, and this is what's changing at the moment, is I have never had the self-belief that I deserve that level of success.
Mm-hmm.
That's changing big time. Other than that, I've chased an assistant job. That didn't come to anything. We've had people offer, for me to go to their studios and saying they'll give us work. That hasn't come to anything. There are people I could go and work for, I'm sure, but then it's a case of, well, that in London, you've always, especially as a musician, you've always got to weigh up this cost versus reward time versus reward ratio. I can't afford to work for £25 an hour.
Yeah,
which I might get as an assistant at a studio. I can't afford to do it. So there's a toss-up of where, what do you do? But I'm happy, having said that, I'm happy to do mixes for free, because I have decided I'll do mixes for free if I want to do them, but I'm not going to do work for a discount if I'm charging a rate.
Yeah, I agree with you.
That line gets a bit blurred when your mates are like, can you mix these songs? We don't have a budget. And it's like, well, I kind of want to mix the songs. So then they get into spec mix territory, which is fine if I believe it's going somewhere. That's an awkward conversation if you don't. So, I don't have the answer. I don't have the missing piece. Maybe someone in the audience does. Let us know if you do. But I just think if we stick long enough at this, keep getting better, keep networking. Clients are coming in slowly.
Yeah.
I've had more clients this year than I had all of last year already, which is great. So if that keeps going, it's like, what's worth more, £1 million or a penny that doubles every day for 30 days?
Yeah, it's a snowball, is it?
Yeah, you get into multiple millions if you take the penny. But it's little increments that then compound, and like investing, it compounds. That's where the profit is over time. It's patience.
And do you think that we have invested wisely? Do you think over the past 2 years, me and you have made the right investments?
I think I've been very distracted by gear and room acoustics in the past, but I don't regret any of it, because I've learned basically everything you need to know that's relevant about room acoustics.
Yep.
And that got me onto headphones, which was the missing piece. But I had to go down a year of chasing the wrong thing to find the right thing. Even though it was right in front of me because you were telling me for like 2 years. But, you know what we're like, we have to learn for ourselves. So I don't regret anything, just as I know someone could say to you, and people do, you rabbit hole stuff you don't need to know about.
Time, yeah.
But all of that is knowledge, and knowledge is power if yielded correctly and utilised effectively. And there's not much that you don't know about audio. It's just now we're both at a point where we have the understanding, the skills and the knowledge to utilize everything we've learned to great effect. And I feel like we're both just at that point. It's almost like we're at the start of the marathon now. We've done the training, we've done the gym work, we've done the running, we've worn in the running shoes, we've got our setup, we've got our flow, we've got our technique, we've practiced a 10K, we've practiced a half marathon. This is it, starting line. We've just got to go, and then stuff will come in or we'll pass out and die.
But then do you think that we have enough intent? That's what I don't have, and I will admit it now, that I think you have more intent than me. It's like I had enough intent to build this entire studio and make a website and, work on it and, get, an intent to get a good portfolio up. But I know that I don't utilize my network as well as I should. I know that the things that do not kind of excite me, I don't really want to do, which is kind of limiting me because there's certain opportunities that may arise by just, putting myself out there. Again, like honestly, ever since we've had Paul Ashmore on, and he talked about the film and TV work, and I just thought, he's almost saying to me, begrudgingly probably, like, the work's there, Paul. There it is there for you. Like, all you need to do is do like a few like trailer work. And honestly, I was sitting there today thinking, why don't I just like do like a portfolio of trailer work? But then how do I get the trailer work? And then as soon as my brain thought that, I was like, I've got other stuff I need to be doing. And then my brain, just like fucking dismissed it. Again, it's that intent. I feel that when I have an intent, it's again, headphones, fucking hell, man. I've got too much intent for headphones. But then the Atmos room I'm leaving, the recording side, again, that session, honestly, I can't tell you how well that session went on Saturday. And it was good money. I'm getting paid to record and mix. That was good money for me.
But that's the start of a snowball, because
I know.
hopefully they'll come back. Yeah. They might know other people. They might have people in their network who hear the track that you've done and they're like, wow, that's the most professional recording I've heard of any artist I know in Scotland. Who's done that? Slowly, person by person, you become the go-to guy. It's word of mouth, but word of mouth takes a lot of time. And we're fighting budgets and we're fighting unrealistic expectations.
But then do you think that's because we are too stubborn about doing everything ourselves? Me and you have got this thing where it's like, okay, we've got the two of us, but it is like we are this solo endeavour where it's like, I've got to do everything off my own back. And I do feel we don't utilise the contacts that we've got. Yeah,
I'm starting to think more outside the box on that for sure. Including ChatGPT, but with my songs, for example, that I want to work on, I've reached out to 4 or 5 people recently to try and get different people on board, because I know the result of working with someone else is usually better than doing it on my own. Yeah. And I'm aware of my limitations. The marketing stuff, getting someone else to do it.
100%.
Website stuff, I had someone else design my website. Yeah, you got to know your limitations, but again, I still feel like it's picking one thing and pushing it, because it's too easy to be diluted. But what you could do maybe 2 things. Let's open it up to 2, maximum 3. But we're doing YouTube. We've got day jobs, and for me, that's live sound and playing drums. And then we're pushing the studio. But what else can we do? Well, I want to write songs, but that's kind of a personal endeavour.
Yeah.
I could sack all of that off and never write a song again and do more marketing courses and mastering courses and more social media campaigns. There's a few things, but streamlining it down, I just want to focus on what I think I'm good at. I think I'm an okay mastering engineer. I offer it as a service because a lot of clients don't understand the difference.
Yeah.
But mixing's my strength, and that's what I want to push. So for me, I think this year, if I get to the end of this year and I've done 3 to 6 months of social media marketing and it's cost me loads of money and I've had, say, 2 clients out of it, I'm going to deem that not worth doing.
I agree.
I will put that to bed. But this is the one thing I really have to push. Outside of that, yeah, you are right. I could be more active utilising contacts that we've got and made through the podcast, British contacts.
And you're in London, man. The amount of people that we meet in Gearfest and stuff like that, and the people that we'll meet at Gearfest, there'll be other people that we'll meet. Like, honestly, I'm not joking you. If I was in my 20s and I was in London, I would be just like scheduling stuff all the time. I would have a calendar and I'd be like, going to see you. If I'm not doing anything and I'm not got a mix on, I'm like, right, who could I be visiting? Because I think that's the one thing that Andrew Masters and Warren as well. Like, look at Warren. Warren's fucking entire career is now spent like going to visit other people's studios. But you think about what he's doing, he's keeping his name out there all the time. Warren Hewitt is constantly in audio every single year. That man is just always there. He's at every trade show. He's everywhere. And again, it keeps your name out there. And I think that that's what we don't do enough because we're British. And, you know, we're very humble. And it's like, no, we'll do it off our own backs. Where I'm just like, no, we need to start shouting from the rooftops. I'm here. I am available. I am skilled. I am worthy to work on your track. And I will do the best I can to make it the best sounding record that I can for you. Because we've got that skill. It's just that we need to get to that level. And that's why I wanted to make this accountability video, to kind of have a video where we're talking openly between each other to say, what can we be, again, what I said last week, what can you be doing? And ask the tough questions to really dig deep. Because I know, look, me and you have dug really deep in terms of the learning, in terms of the investment, in terms of, you know, trying to make all this stuff work to get to the point that we are in. But as you said, it's like having to do 8 marathons to then go, yeah, this is the big marathon. You're like, I'm tired. Fuck, I've been running all these marathons and now you want me to do the big fucking trek now. It's like we're not there yet. And I kind of feel that, right, what do we need and what do we do to give us that push? Because I never ever want for me and you to look back at this and look back and go, we could have done that. We could have done this better. We could have made the most of that contact. That's why I'm going to NAM. That's why me and you will be at NAM in January. I do not want to do that 11.5-hour plane journey. I really, really, really don't want to do it. It was one of the hardest things that I've had to go through because I can't sleep when I travel. So it's 11.5 hours.
We'll get you some Valium next time. We'll knock you out at the start.
Pop a few Valiums, fucking best of my life. But, you know, I'm taking that. Again, I'm going to Gearfest. I'm going to CanJam because I'm seeing everything as an opportunity. Because especially manufacturers, this is something that many of you won't be able to relate to. Some people might. But, you know, for me, you know, the Gearfests and, you know, the NAMs and the CanJams, because obviously we can review certain things, these are people that, you know, have access to engineers, and, you know, you might never know that you end up on, you know, the same marketing campaign as somebody else, and know these are these little things. My thing for this year, the rest of this year, is really trying to look through every single web. I see it as a web. That's how I see it in my head. Everything's interlinked. It's just that I've not found the way, right, which path do I need to take to get to this, to see if it's a possibility. And I think that's what I need to start doing more. Obviously, I need to do it more locally, but that doesn't mean to say I can maybe try and spread further out. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, people are in the industry. You know, it's quite hard. You know, they're not just going to go, yeah, so do you want to just have my job? I'll just give it up and you can just have my job. But at the end of the day, you know, there are contacts that we, you know, and I don't like the word use, but I mean, we can, you know, in the end of the day, I've said it before, so many people have got in touch with me and says, I'm here if you need me. I'm here. I want to help build you up. But I just have this thing in me where I don't like to feel like I'm using people. But they're telling me, bro, I'm here to help you. Let me lift you up. And I think that's something that me and Ed need to think more about. Again, we talked about it, you know, surrounding yourself with the right people and the right mindset, you know what I mean? The right people that can help kind of push you forward. And it would be interesting for me at the end of the year to see if we've actually pushed ourselves enough.
The Working Audio Tools podcast is brought to you in association with our friends at DistroKid for all of your musical distribution needs. For a little bit more, $39.99 a month, you can have 2 artists on your roster, which includes everything just mentioned. Additionally, synced lyrics in Apple Music, further streaming analytics statistics. You can create a customizable record name. Mine, for example, is Ed Thorne Rhythm and Records. And you can customize release dates, pre-order dates, iTunes pricing, and again, much more. Now, if you're an artist manager or a record label, the Ultimate Bundle gives you up to 100 artists for just $89.99 a year. And you get 1 terabyte of instant file sharing, which is useful, but also contact information for thousands of playlist curators on Spotify. This is really useful so you can pitch your artist music to playlist curators around the world. Only available in the Ultimate Bundle from DistroKid.
So what we'll say, Ed, we'll say at the end of this video, right? What will we give? We'll give ourselves 1 goal each, right? From this conversation, right? What do you think my 1 goal should be? I'll just focus on 1 goal. I won't do the whole like Paul Third thing where I'm going to scatterbrain it. What should be the 1 thing that you would say right now I need to prioritize and focus on to help me get to the next level?
Exactly what you said at the start of the video, which is advertise in Scotland extensively on social media. But I also think you could optimize the Atmos studio by going to TV stations, studios, even universities and getting in with film students.
Yeah.
Surely they're doing courses in Atmos and surround sound. And, where do they go? There's probably 1 Atmos studio at every university, if that. They're probably getting an hour a week in that. You could say, look, give me some tracks. I'll mix them, put them into your projects, because the next guy might be the next big film producer, who knows?
Yeah. So you would say, for me, marketing locally.
I'd say that should be your priority between now and December.
And then Atmos could be an additional thing to see if I could maximise some opportunities. Yeah, right. So that's what I'm going to do, right? So we'll come back to this at the end of the year. We'll have an end of the year recap.
And we will, because Paul doesn't forget these things.
I really don't. So that's my one, and I'll work at that, and that's my next domino, as Ed always likes to say.
It's a Chris Graham reference, yep.
Yes. So for you, Ed, right? Your goal is a little bit more difficult. However, let's set an amount of studios that you have to visit in London, right? To have a day and have a chat, right? Let's think about, many would we say, right? To the end of the year, I want you, because again, there's a lot of people that we've met and there's a lot of people that you've been like, it's never really materialised. Let's make it happen. Let's be a little bit forceful and let's make these contacts happen and see where they lead, and get you in studios with people that already like you, already want to maybe help support you and have a chat, and they could maybe, be like, oh, I know such and such, blah, 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 blah. Many studios are we going to get you in to the end of the year?
1 a month.
Okay, so that'll be, July. Okay, so what we're going to say, 6, 7. We'll say 6.
Off the top of my head, I can think of 1. I don't know where the other 5 are coming from.
Well, that's good. There's your right. That's what we'll say, right?
Because I'm assuming 1 will materialise from Gearfest
or
present itself.
Yeah. So at Gearfest, you should be looking for opportunities to speak to people and be like, all right, where's your studio? All right, okay, cool. All right, maybe we could blah, blah, blah. That's maybe your next thing in Gearfest, is to maximise your surroundings. And so, for example, if you watch this podcast, you have studio, you're a full-time working engineer, you're in London, you're going to be at Gearfest, you're going to be at CanJam, come across to them. Come across to Ed and be like, yo man, like the podcast, I'm doing X, Y, and Z. I would really love for you to come to my studio one day and just have a chat and blah, 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 blah. Because that man has 1 studio a month to get to. Because I think, Ed, if you were to visit 6 studios, for like professional studios, working engineers, I would say surely out of those 6 visits, something could maybe materialise out of that, whether it be a learning, whether it be another contact, something could maybe materialise from that. And it's getting you in those circles. You're in the hub. Like, what do all of the people that we know in the London scene, what do they say to us all the time? Everybody knows everyone, especially in the industry. All the industry mixers in London know each other quite well. So that's something I think you need to do. You're in Music City. How do we get you more into the circle? How do we just get you more into other like-minded engineers that are maybe where you want to be, or maybe, in the same boat as you? Build yourself up. Create your little own London engineer Discord or some shit, I don't know.
You've just made me think of something. About 5 or 6 years ago, I set up a Facebook Messenger group with 5 sound engineers that I knew who were on a similar price point. Some were a bit higher, one was a bigger production company. There were 5 of us. There's about 60 people in that group now because people have just added people that they trust. And it's become a hub for work. And I sit back and think, no, cool, I started that. And then people say to me, oh yeah, there's this Facebook Messenger group, like you should join that. I was like, mate, I fucking started it. But I took myself out of that. So maybe there's the potential to do something similar for engineers of some kind.
See, something. It's like we've got creative brains.
Even if it's like a mixing collective of, right, I've got a client who's got a hip hop track. That ain't my thing. I mean, I know who I'd go to for that now, but I could put it in that collective box. But then we're in a phase where we're just trying everything anyway, aren't we?
Look, even the fact that you're speaking about it and the wee wheels are going, you know what I mean?
I'm definitely going to utilise ChatGPT between now and then, and I think I am going to be a little bit more proactive and conversational on Instagram with people.
Yeah, because honestly, that's what my wife says, when Paul, the amount of people you speak to in a week on Instagram and your Discord and blah, blah, blah. She's like, imagine that was locally. Fuck, you'd be busy every single week. And again, that's where I feel for you. You're in Music City, you've got the personality, you've got the studio, you've got the tech, you've got the knowledge, you've got the skills. Again, there's like-minded people out there. And again, the more people that you surround yourself with, the more opportunities that might come your way.
Might try LinkedIn as well.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's intent, isn't it? It's like, it's only when you speak about it and then you actually start going, look, what can we do? What can we be doing and what are we not doing? And looking yourself in the mirror and going...
I think this has been a useful episode to hold ourselves to account for sure. And okay, here's another question. Where do you want to be by the end of the year? What do you want to have achieved?
I want to be in a position where I've got at least 10 more sessions under my belt in the studio. At least 10. Like full sessions, full songs, recording and, mixing it. I would like to have 10. I think 10's achievable.
Yep.
And if I had 10, I would be happy with that. That would be pretty good for me, because then that's 10, singles that I've worked on, 10 new artists that I've worked with that could then hopefully spread that.
That's a good goal.
Yeah.
I would like to be in the position where I've got 3 mixes a week.
So would I. That would be a fucking good position to be in. Yeah, fucking hell. £900 a week. 3,600 a month. £3,600 a month. That's good money. And then again, I think, okay, you get fucking 20 off. That's a good question. Would you be over the tax bracket? 40% tax bracket at that point if you were taking in 3-4 a month? Be close, wouldn't it?
No, because you'd be, say, £4,000 a month, 48 grand a year. No, you're not over the 50 grand threshold. Yeah. Also, you only pay a higher tax bracket on anything that's more than 50 grand.
True, yeah, true.
You don't get taxed on the whole thing.
That would be, for me, that's a fucking much more money than what I'm on now. And to think that, all you would need is 3 mixes a week. That is achievable. That is achievable. It's hard because you need 3 new mixes coming in all the time. But
at the moment, it's the inconsistency that's a bit disjointed. It's a bit that mixes are coming, but it'll be like, okay, here's 1, here's 2, here's 2 weeks off, here's 3, here's a week off. It's not consistent, and I think I would like the consistency. But then I also like the variety, like I've said, so I don't mind doing some of the live sound stuff.
Yeah, I know. So again, you're in a fortunate position.
Keeps things in perspective for me, which
so,
I think
so
is
let's
important.
be realistic then, right? Would you say, right, if you were to get, okay, what at the end of the month, right, end of the year, sorry, in a month, what would you like to think is realistically possible for you? Many mixes a month for the next 6 months.
10. And I've told my social media guy that if our first target needs to be getting me from, say, averaging 1 a week to 3 a week. And if we hit that target, we're going to step it up. If we don't hit that target, we've got to rearrange things. So we will do it in blocks. I don't know how long these blocks are going to be. I think 6-week blocks of data researching. And if after 3 months this isn't going anywhere, hopefully by then we'll have an indicator of whether my prices are wrong, because I did just put them up slightly. Maybe they need to go back down. Maybe they were too high where they were. Maybe it is a case of you get to three mixes a week on £100 a mix, and then you work from there. You get to 5 mixes a week for 100 quid, and then you go to 3 mixes a week at 200 quid, and then go from there.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a case of really humbling and going back to that. I don't think it is, though, because I've worked with £100 clients. It's a ball ache.
As everybody tells me.
It's not worth...
Everybody says it.
There's no... Yeah, it's
the
difficult.
expectations is way too high for like the quality
the
that
product
you're given.
you get. Yeah, I mean, look, let's not be negative about it, but we've all had experiences. I think there's a direct correlation between what people are willing to pay and how good the product is.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that that's probably the best way to end it. So we've talked about things that we can be doing better. We've given ourselves some achievable targets. Another thing that I'm actually going to do is I'm going to pick one of these. So we've got EngineEars, we've got SoundBetter, and we've got Fivrr. Which one out of the 3 do you think that I should set myself up with? I'll do one.
I've heard mixed things about all of them.
Yeah, so have I.
Was it SoundBetter? I think it basically acts as an algorithm like YouTube. You have to feed it.
Yeah.
So you have to. It's kind of a bit of a catch-22. You have to be getting the views to get the views, as it were, like on YouTube.
Yeah.
If the video does well, it just does better because the algorithm it triggers the algorithm. It pushes the video. I think from what I've heard, SoundBetter is similar, so that requires a lot of maintenance. But what is it SoundBetter or EngineEars is good at is they take down profiles that aren't active, so there is less crap on there. You're not just filtering, like if you search covers bands on Google, there's thousands and thousands, and most of those bands aren't even still active, but there's no filtration process there. I wouldn't even do that. I would get on LinkedIn and I would find television producers, TV shows, channels, and offer your services for doing podcast, voiceover editing, mixing, and Atmos work.
Okay.
And I think by default, you will get in with an artist at some point along the line and getting them in the studio. And
yeah, so do that first, and then I could go and see if the SoundBetter for EngineEars thing, whatever that might fucking be, a tangible possibility.
Because a lot of those SoundBetter and EngineEars aren't as bad, but Fivrr, in my experience, is a complete race to the bottom.
But it's just when Leo was talking about it, and he's like, he could make it work. But again, he's very realistic. Leo is very realistic about, the whole platform. But again, look, there's opportunities there. I kind of sit there. There's no point in me sitting and going, I've not got any work. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, if I'm not actually putting myself out there on SoundBetter or on EngineEars or on Fivrr, then I'm like, I can't really be moaning about it, you know what I mean?
Do you know what I think it's worth doing is taking a little bit of time out of your week every week to work on your business.
Yeah, that's a good show.
And I think I've not been disciplined with that, but I think if we both took, say, a Wednesday for 3 hours, and that was when we contacted people on Instagram, sorted out a LinkedIn profile, SEO'd the website, refocused the Instagram posting and all that stuff. The problem is you kind of have to do little bits every day. So I probably do 3 hours on that a week, but it's just not in a block allotted time.
Yeah, which is what I need.
Okay, 20 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Half an hour a day.
It's just kind of set out, just thinking business. Okay, so that's how we'll end it, because we could now, me and Ed are now, the brain's going, which is the way I wanted it to go, but this could go very long, right? What I now want you to do is I want you to talk about what you did when you were in the situation that me and Ed were in, where you were in the situation where you had the investment, you had the studio, you had the skills, you had the tools. What did you do? Right, this is what is very important. What did you do when you were in our position, when you knew that you needed to put in the work to get the clients and think more kind of business? What did you do? Are there anything that you think that me and Ed should take on board? Do you think there's anything that me and Ed are missing? And, just share what's worked for you. I always feel that everybody can learn from each other. And, if you have managed to get yourself in a full-time, engineering position, you've done that via hard work, and you've had to make some decisions and choices along the road. So share some of those decisions and choices, and there might be something that me and Ed go, genius, never even thought of that. Again, this is a journey for everybody. I know this has been very much about me and Ed, but again, what I wanted to make this episode for was to specifically discuss the journey, but again, to discuss the things that we can address. We could say, we're not doing that, I should be doing that, and set a goal, and hopefully at the end of the year, and I will do it because I'm autistic, and I know he will as well, we will hopefully at the end of the year be able to turn around and say, we did this, we set a goal, we tried it, this was the result. Because imagine if it works out for the two of us, then that's kind of a good shining example for you to then sit there and think, you know what, I'm going to do it. I had this idea, I was going to implement it, I was putting it off, I'm actually going to try that. And then hopefully we can all, together as a community, build each other up. And, we end up where we want to be, which is hopefully a full-time career in audio. And yep, that's all I've got for this week, Ed.
Yeah, I'd say that's been inspiring and holding us to account, giving us some tangible targets to work towards.
Yeah, goals. You always need a goal. You always need a goal in life. If you've not got something to strive for, you're staying still. You always need to be moving forward.
Yep, and if you give up on your dreams, all you have is the rest of your life.
Correct. And that's how we'll end it. Bye-bye.